Hi, I'm Old Norse Specialist Dr. Jackson Crawford. This is the second video in my Wandering Through Hávamál series, in which, instead of analyzing the linguistics or the culture or history behind a stanza, as I have in so many other types of videos, I'm just looking at the applicability of the lessons of Hávamál to our lives today. Alright, our stanza today on my Patreon-supported series of Wandering Through Hávamál videos is stanza 39. The Old Norse text and the English translation are from my Wanderers Hávamál. For other information about these translations, see the end of this video. 39. Fan ka ek mildan man, edda svo matar góðan, at ei veri þiggja þegit. Edda síns fjör svo gjoflan, at leið se laun if thegi. I have never met a man so generous nor so hospitable that he would not welcome repayment, nor have I met a man so giving that he turned down a thing offered in return. Of course, I think this is extremely true. We respond to people who don't just want something from us for given, right? Obviously, something like, I have to use my own experience here. Providing videos for free on YouTube is not quite the same thing because there's no expectation that someone is going to pay for this kind of content. People don't anymore, fundamentally, right? And understanding that is, I think, more important than trying to turn a transaction out of something that people now regard as fundamentally free, which is information, right? People want to Google information, they want to go on Wikipedia. People aren't buying library cards, they're not paying for classes so much anymore. And so but this is just what's normal, right? I think each culture kind of sets its own expectation about what requires payment in return, and we don't think of information that way anymore. On a day-to-day level. Now, universities, of course, want you to pay tens of thousands of dollars to support all their admins every semester so you can sit in a classroom and be bored. That's a little bit different, and that model will surely change. I can't imagine that can last too much longer. But on the day-to-day, we like to be rewarded for our efforts, regardless of whether we think people will. And I think that's also something that I've been pleasantly surprised by in Patreon, right? People take these free offerings of mine and they actually do say, hey, I'd like to support you. And so, not to say that I am the man so giving, but I certainly don't turn down a thing offered in return, right? Or you think about this doesn't have to be money, you just think about courtesies. Many people who are very courteous, very polite, these are some of my favorite people, don't necessarily expect you to be, right? They know that people are often rude, people are often having a bad day. But when you offer some courtesy to them in return, it can really make their day. I would hesitate normally to mention other people by name, but my brother, I think, is a little bit like that. He's a very polite person. People are always commenting about how courteous he is when they meet him in person. But of course, his whole day I've seen made by someone just being as nice as he is by default to him, just as a second thought. We keep the world turning by giving to each other what we're given, and in passing on the generosity that we have received ourselves. I think the stanza of Hávamál then is a nice reminder that if someone is doing something that you like, tell them thank you, or just tell them hello. And you might or might not get anything directly back from that, but that's not the point. they've already maybe given to you, and you're saying, hey, I noticed what you're given. Here's at least just a little bit of cheer in return. Well, I hope that's been an all right meditation on the meaning behind the thoughts in the stanza of Hávamál. And for now, from beautiful Colorado, let me wish you all the best. Like all my videos, the videos in the Wandering Through Hávamál series are made possible by the donations of my generous Patreon supporters. Thank you very much, one and all. The text of the Old Norse and English translation that you see on the screen is derived from my Wanderers Hávamál, my 2009 publication with Hackett Publishing Company of the text of Hávamál in Old Norse and English with a thorough commentary. The Old Norse text is as close to the manuscript in the Codex Regius as it can possibly be, other than the fact that abbreviations, which are very frequently used in Old Norse manuscripts, are expanded to read as whole words, and in the case of words that are spelled multiple different ways, in the Codex Regius and contemporary manuscripts, I go with the standard spellings that you're most likely to find in an Old Norse dictionary. Of course, at the time, scribes did not have anything like a Webster's or an OED of Old Norse, so they spelled things more or less as they sounded to them. When you see square brackets, that means that text has been copied from a preceding stanza into the stanza that you're seeing on the screen. Actually, the manuscript indicates that we need to do this because it wants to save space. If something is to be repeated, it shows by abbreviations, repeat this part from that earlier part. So that is something we're confident is there, even though you wouldn't see it spelled out that way in the manuscript. Square brackets can also indicate a word that has been supplied by modern scholars because it's needed for the meter or the meaning. Oftentimes, scholars are pretty universally agreed on what to supply where. When you see the Greek letter psi, that actually is standing in for the rune Mother, which looks exactly like the Greek letter psi in the Codex Regius manuscript, and that stands for the word Mother, meaning man or person. Often I translate that as you because colloquial advice is given in the second person in English rather than in the third. Again, thank you very much for your support. Thank you for your interest in this series. And from beautiful Colorado, let me wish you all the best.